right. Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday and happy Memorial weekend. Getting ready for Memorial Day tomorrow. So, hopefully, you guys are spending time with friends and family. And, of course, just taking time to remember our heroes of the United States, especially those who have fallen, but also those who continue to serve. And we're going to be talking about a war story out of the EU, the legendary EU, not to be confused with Legends, because it's not, but the true Star Wars story. And let me go ahead and take this banner down. We've got Primitive Supposition. That's my original track. I thought that was appropriate because we will be talking about the setting. This is going to be a non-spoiler review. Don't worry, I'll get to the camera soon. But Shakti is an amazing character. And I forgot I had a Star Wars avatar. I have this, let's see, I have that avatar, but I forgot before I uploaded the Shakti avatar. She has nothing to do with the story. I just think she's a cool character. So she's the true female Togruta character. So let me go ahead and take this banner off and check if audio is fine. Good to see y'all. It might be maybe not a shorter stream. Well, definitely shorter than last stream. But I'm not expecting a lot of people to come because of the Memorial Day weekend, which is fine. I still wanted to talk about a wonderful story because stories are, you know, I'm learning, and it's only because of my experience with reading. But the more I read good stories, the more they inspire me to better my writing. And that seems obvious, but you actually with reading good literature and watching good shows and movies, you find that you actually pick up on ideas you wouldn't have otherwise picked up if you were just kind of going through your own imagination. So I'm very grateful for that. And I would say Mace Windu's war story Shatterpoint is one of those stories, especially at the end. But there will be no spoiler. Now, without further ado, or spoilers plural, I'll do my best. Let me go ahead and open this video. All right, good. So I'm still using I'm not using Prof's computer and my phone. It's just going to be kind of that hazy camera, but the computer usually is on a higher tier on a desk. Now it's more personable. Like I'm looking right at you, not from far away. So, anyway, good to have you guys in the chat. Let's see who is in. So we've got. I think I was the first one to put in my chat. This will be a spoiler-free review of Shatterpoint. So try to avoid spoilers in the chat. I actually recommend reading the book. I think it's a very good EU book, well structured, and a lot of good connections with themes and good character arcs, good character development. And you guys, most of you, I think, know that Prof and Big Al, the birthday boy who's not here, I don't know where he is. He's probably celebrating. I'll be sad if he. Oh, he does. Birthday boy. Happy birthday, Al. Good to see you. Good to see you. I hope you're enjoying your birthday. It's kind of okay. I'm going to say this, Al. It sounds strange, but my mind latches on your birthday as a significant time of the year. I don't know why that's been. I mean, you are a close friend. I've grown to know you over the years, and you're a wonderful companion, and a friend of Prof. But yeah, thank you, snuck in on you. But I don't know why I think about your birthday when your birthday comes up. If it's coming up, I'm like, oh yeah, Al's birthday is coming up already, and it's like your birthday is like the timestamp of the year. Like, oh wow, it's been a year already. It's crazy how that works. But I've been aware of Professor Geek's channel for about 7 years now, I think. And then I started getting to know him more personally, of course, about 4 years ago. So like time goes. Time just goes. But anyway, so good you would spend some birthday time with moi. I do appreciate that. And we're talking about Star Wars, so you can't go wrong with that. Yes, day after. Yes, the true Star Wars day. So Memorial Day. So that's a full weekend. We've got Star Wars Day, Big Al's birthday, and Memorial Day. That's a just adjacent days, a stretch of days, so that's good. But happy birthday. I hope you're having a good one, and yeah, I just wish you all the best. So let's continue to work along down with the chat. Brian Gilmartin, let me just post this. This is a book I need to read. I've heard nothing but praise over the stretch of decades involving this book, but you are quoting, "If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles." Sun Tzu, The Art of War. I hope I'm saying his last name correctly, but I need to read that book. People, it's pretty much one of those seminal books that you just like, whether you're a business person trying to better your life or trying to write some good fiction. Most people say that that's a top tier read, so that's good. This is good. One of my wonderful prof says music sounds great. Yeah, thank you. I've been working steadily on this 8-track album I'd like to release this summer, and there's some progress. You guys probably know this, but like I haven't really been spending a lot of time on YouTube as far as making content, and I'm cool with that for at least for now, because I've been really getting some music out there and I'm making some steady progress. So hopefully by August or September I'll have a full 8-track album. And it's gonna be upbeat. It's gonna be one of those feel-good tracks. There's some very uplifting music in some of the tracks, and then some tracks are low key but really it's a nice chill vibe. So it'll be good. It'll be my more lighter electronic music. I still like ambient and down tempo, but this is gonna be a lot more positive feeling, which is probably what we need. Probably what we need going into the fall. Yeah. So let's try move along down. So Samuel Proctor is asking if Shakti was a character of the Windu story. No, she's not. She's not in the book at all. But she's a character I really like. And I had to find a Star Wars character. And for different reasons I chose not to use the Star Wars character who is female that is in the book. But again, no spoilers. No spoilers. So Brian Gilmartin says your folks, his folks, are in New York for the weekend, which means the house is they're gone, which means the house is yours. Also got a new DVD player last week along with a component cable from HD Retrovision. That sounds familiar. Let me continue along down. You're so welcome, Al. Sun Tzu. I always say it as Sun Tzu. Oh yeah, I did say Sun Tzu. Yeah, that's probably true. Mostly from my experience playing Dynasty Warrior games. Interesting. Very good. One second. I'm gonna say I've been having like little coughing fits, and I'm not sick. It's just it's kind of the attack of the sinuses. So I don't like sneezing or coughing in front of the camera. So just bear with me. I might come in and come out. But I'm perfectly fine. So Samuel says it's the opposite in my house right now. My cousin from Texas is visiting for a week. Cool. Yeah. Yeah, you know who also is going to Utah soon? Probably in the summer. Samuel Proctor is Daniel Herron from Soundtracks from Birdman. He's going to go to, I don't know where in Utah. I don't think it's Salt Lake City. I think it's another city, maybe Provo. That's the only other city I've been through in Utah. But he's going to, what is he going? I think it is a John Williams show, and he said that the Utah Symphony was pretty much the prime, the cream of the crop symphony for that kind of music. So he's going. It's John Williams music, and they're playing his favorite of the Williams scores, Jane Eyre being one of them. So you know what? I saw that movie a long time ago. I was like 18 years old, so that's like 19 years ago. But I saw it then, and I can't remember the soundtrack, but he says it's the best. So anyway, but yeah, good to have you. Adiga Outlaw is also in. Peace. Good to see you too. We're going to talk about Star Wars today, Andreas. Yes, without any spoilers. So we're going to be talking about Mace Windu. I mean, it's Memorial Day. I thought this was perfect. I wasn't even planning this. I was kind of going back and forth if I wanted to, see if I wanted to talk about Mace Windu's story. Uh, and then I finished it just a little bit a few days ago, and then I was thinking, yeah, I think it's perfect because he really is. I mean, I have the thumbnail, all American war hero, and obviously he's a fictional character, but he has his own war story, and there's just a lot of great war themes involving this book. So I'm not going to touch on everything, and I'm certainly not going to spoil any events. I kind of want to the way I want to conduct this analysis, if you will, is more giving you a tease of what is in the package, and that is his story. And so we'll go ahead and get started with that. Comics Gator says you need to visit the national parks in southern Utah. Was that Arches yesterday? Is that how you pronounce it? I've been through South Dakota, so yeah, I love South Dakota. I love Wyoming. I love Montana. I love Colorado. I spent my summers in Montana. Um, I might go to Montana in the near future for different things. And I love Utah. I've been through Utah once, and I love it. I love it. I think Virginia is one of the most beautiful states, no question. But there is something about going through the dramatic Western landscapes. It's amazing. It's amazing. And Salt Lake City is huge. I did not know that city was that big. It takes forever to drive through. It like takes a whole hour just to cross through Salt Lake City, and that's without the traffic. All right, so let's talk about we're already 18 minutes in, give or take. Oh, real quick, I want to see if you could see this color. It's kind of hard to see. It's one of those like bands that you wrap in. Let's see if I like draw my hand up. I don't know, but it's like this yellow green, and it's one of my favorite colors. I don't think you'll be able to see it that well, but it's a yellow green, and I'm like, man, I love that color. I feel like yellow green, like a bit of yellow, actually more yellow than green. It's like my tennis ball favorite color. It's the best. I always get excited when I see that color, especially like on a logo. That would be my color for a lightsaber because I feel like if I was a Jedi, based on my personality, I think I'd be a sentinel. Someone watching over the archives, watching over the knowledge, guarding the knowledge. I'm not out there, but then if like having a little green just in case I needed to, kick some butt and to protect the knowledge, the Jedi archives. So I feel like that color, if that was such a color, would be my color for a lightsaber. Anyway, that was a sidebar. I just had that in my purse because I love the color. It's like, oh, it was in the music store. Yeah, it makes you think of Sprite, yeah. Junk, purple, the Japanese character I discovered to be purple. Yeah. I forgot the Japanese word for it though. Anyway, I'm getting off track. So good to see you guys. So let's actually talk about this. This is gonna be off the cuff, pretty like bare bones analysis of this story. I just got through it once, and I think this story of Mace Windu, Shatterpoint, I think it takes a couple of reads. I think it really does take 2 or 3 reads to really grasp the story behind basically his mission. I mean, the prof, Professor Geek and Big Al, birthday boy Big Al, did a study. I actually went through the whole study like 2 hours ago for like 90 minutes. I just went straight through, skimmed over the important, skimmed over the a lot of the analysis, but then like went to certain points. But there's a lot of things that I admit I didn't quite comprehend. Just in general, just to set this up, as a reader, I will say I kind of, I don't want to say lose interest, but I have a hard time comprehending not action in a war, but I have a hard time comprehending warfare equipment. And there was a lot of that in this book. It was like, especially toward the end, like the climax, the third act of the story, and it was like there were two solid chapters of what was going on with the war. It was called, I think the chapter was called Unconventional Warfare, and it was just, it was like a whole chapter worth of just all this gear and all this equipment. I'm like, I just want to see what happens to people. I want to see what happens to characters. So if I ever have like a war type setting, it's got to have that real good blend of the characters involved, because I think Unconventional Warfare, the chapter, does not involve Mace at all, or any of the characters you've gotten to know. over the story. So there were some slower moments for me. But I have read a couple war stories, and I need to get back to it because about 7 years ago or so, 8 years ago, I took an interest to reading war stories, like war fiction. But I never really I got into science fiction, like, right after that, and, I really should go back to some good pieces of war fiction. One was All Quiet on the Western Front. I remember liking that very much, even though I don't really remember it, I just remember being impacted by it, so I need to, read it again. And then there was a shorter one, and I forget, I should know the author's name. I don't think he wrote more than this 1 book, maybe 2 books on his experience with war. I can't remember exactly which war, but it is called A Stranger to Myself. I remember the title, and it really is more internal. Like it's his psychology, and really what war can do to the psychology, and really that was demonstrated in Mace Windu's story Shatterpoint. So let's talk about themes and settings without any spoilers, because if you haven't read the book, I would. I think I want to just go just to say right off the bat, this is a perfect Mace Windu story. And his character, the antagonist, a couple antagonists fit his character. It was a Mace Windu story. The integrity of the story fitting this one character, because the setting, I'll just say right now, the setting wouldn't have worked for a character like Obi-Wan or Yoda. This was perfect for Mace Windu. So I want to talk about the setting of the story, the really the main antagonist of the story, and then also the relationships involved, particularly with Mace Windu's former Padawan. Without any spoilers, no spoilers. So we'll see how well this goes. Let me grab some water. Samuel, I want to say Proctor because I'm used to that. There are 2 Samuels here for 9 people. That's pretty impressive. Yes, we are reviewing Shatterpoint, the book, but no spoilers. I'm not actually going to go into spoiler territory. Again, highly recommend Professor Geek's book study for that. So let's talk about the setting first. So when I read the first 2 chapters, first couple of chapters, we're in Coruscant. And I just couldn't get into it, and then Professor Geek says, "Just wait till he gets to the planet." I'm like, "Okay, yeah," because the Coruscant setup was interesting. It showed a mystery concerning this footage that regarded this crime against humanity, and the alleged person committing this crime, or if she was the only person, or she was part of the group committing this crime, was this. Former Padawan, Depa. I always mispronounce her last name or her surname, Depa Billaba, Master Billaba. So she is a Jedi Knight. She's a Jedi Master who, after Geonosis went missing, well, she was sent to this jungle planet, Harun Kal. Harun Kal. Forgive me my mispronunciations. This jungle planet really just, I think the objective when she was sent over was this jungle planet is innately just part of the Force, and she and the Jedi Council and the Republic are aware of these beings, these natives of the jungle planet, Haron Kal. I hope I'm saying that right. The Jedi have been aware that there are not really Force users, but people who are in tune with the Force, who are part of this civil war between the natives and people they call foreigners. The natives are the Koronai, and the foreigners, the invaders, are the Balawai. And there's been this indefinite civil war between the natives and the Balawai. And the natives are these people who are in tune with the Force, the Force that they just call the way of the jungle, or the jungle. And so it's a very menacing place because and I'm getting into the setting now, this planet is chaos and rules don't apply. there's this idea called the Summertime War, which is really indefinite. People start fighting the other side at a very young age as kids, like even like Koronai children or Balawai children. They're not even seen as children; they're seen as little soldiers and enemies. And so this civil war has fostered for an indefinite amount of time this hatred and anger and prejudice and worst of all, I would say, is bloodlust. And because of that, the force involved with this planet is really feeding the dark side of the force, the absence of light. And these Koronai, these natives who can be in tune with the force, well, I think the mission, I think the original objective is for Depa as Jedi Master to go and see to training these people in the ways of the Force to possibly serve the Republic. At this point, the tension between the Republic and the Separatists is pretty high, and they just need all the help they can get. But she goes missing, and it's strongly implied that she's gone rogue in this jungle planet. So, uh, Mace Windu, his first objective is to get straight to her, to extract her from this jungle. If she's committed these war atrocities, she's as a Jedi Knight, she needs to be brought to justice, um, for optics, but then also for the sake of her own soul, regarding the Force. And Mace Windu decides it's up to him to go solo, to go undercover and try to find her and extract her from this very heavy influence of, if it's not the dark side, it's certainly not the force itself. It's like this manipulation of the force through all this war, all this chaos, all this anarchy. And the setting is really good, because it's this beautiful, striking dichotomy between the primitive and the chaos and the civilization and cleanliness of something like Coruscant. So you have really the jungle planet. This jungle planet, Haran Kal, is the antithesis of what Coruscant is. Now I know there's a crime-ridden underbelly of Coruscant. I mean, that's definitely explored. There's no denying that. But Coruscant is really supposed to be that emblem in the Star Wars universe. It's supposed to be the emblem of the Republic, the civilization, and Mace himself sees the Republic as the cause of peace. He's more than just a peacekeeper. He wants to protect and preserve civilization, because without civilization, there is no peace. And that's his stance, even from having been trained as a Jedi, getting to be a Jedi Master. He's the keeper of the peace, but he's also a protector of civilization. So the antithesis of that is this jungle planet. No rules apply. It is blood and guts and glory, and this kind of what Mace Windu calls blood fever. Now, it's a stark contrast to Coruscant, where Mace Windu, for quite some time now, I think he's in his 50s in this story, he's he's thrown into something unfamiliar that he's trying to navigate, maneuver around, and understand just to get to his old Padawan who's gone missing. And I think I lost my train of thought, but so we're talking about that dichotomy, the chaos. Oh, blood fever. So in a way, this setting is perfect only for him, and it is his home world anyway. He was actually taken out, of course, as a very young child to train to become a Jedi Knight. But it is his home world, so that could be why it's not just his old Padawan, but it's he knows about his home world very little. He can sort of understand, navigate the tensions there between the Balawai and the Koronai. He's a Koran, he has uh, things go against him, but he also is able to adapt. And that's what's amazing about his character, is that things are thrown at him every step of the way. People are going against him. People are trying to kill him. People he's trying to protect try to cause trouble for him, and he either gets no respect or he gets outright like, "Let's slaughter the Jedi." There no one really is his friend except one person who has his own character development. But he really doesn't have an ally going solo undercover for this planet. Blood fever is something that was a really interesting concept for me because Mace, what he understands to be his own weakness, his own personal weakness that the Jedi train to, get rid of. You're you're training to be a Jedi, you got to purge your weaknesses. And the weakness that is Mace's is really unique to him because he likes getting into a scrap. He likes fighting. He has the propensity to just dominate the situation, which he can to a very positive effect, but he has a dominant personality. He is an alpha male. So that kind of personality with the propensity to just kick butt and want to fight, want to be in a scrap. He finds a little bit of a thrill. Like he couldn't stay undercover for long, so to speak. Like his propensity, his like instinct is to, get into a scrap, take care of business and be on his way. Now, he understands that this is a weakness because if he gives himself over to that delight, it can cause, of course, some dark side tendencies. And blood fever is this recognition involving the planet where people get so bloodthirsty to take on their or take down rather, take down their enemy at all costs, like victory over anything else. And we get into this war story, the theme of victory and what it means to actually have personal victory and a victory involving a war. Now, he realizes this that if he succumbs to this blood fever and he starts seeing himself do things he on back on Coruscant would never think to do. Like, why am I thinking this? He's shocked that he's contemplating that he's not just fighting out in some ways, he's not fighting out of self-defense, but he wants to see people suffer. And this is he's now becoming in the thick of the jungle, he's becoming quite aware that there's a force at work that he at first he doesn't comprehend, but it's taking well, really this force, this powerful lust for blood and this blood fever to just continue fighting until you win, fighting no matter the cost, no matter the collateral damage or the catastrophe you bring upon your enemy. This is actually quite embodied by a figure, a soul figure, who is the what they call the Lord Pellic, and that is Carvaster. Carvaster is pretty much a we don't see much of this vocation of his, but he's known, he's respected as a Coronai witch doctor. Like he's a medicine man, but he's very, very animalistic. And he is basically he's the perfect antagonist for Mace Windu. He wouldn't have worked for like I said before, Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan is a different. He has a much what I'm trying to say. He's Obi-Wan is different from Mace Windu. Like they have the same objectives, they have the same mission to uphold the peace of the Republic, but they're different personalities, and that's what makes characters interesting. Because while they could work together, they also are very different. And this animalistic alpha male that is Carvaster is it wouldn't have worked in a story for like Yoda to take him on or Obi-Wan to take him on. This was for Mace Windu to take on. And again, I'm not going to spoil, but uh, just giving you the setting. Actually, this will lead into the antagonist, Carvaster. But the setting is a dichotomy that is this jungle, like bloodthirsty chaos that is the jungles. No rules apply. That's one part of the dichotomy, and the other part is the civilized, clean justice and law and order and regulations that is found in Coruscant. give or take, the corruption of the Senate, and of course Palpatine, who's in charge of all that. But it is still a dichotomy, as far as the character Mace Windu is concerned. It's still a dichotomy, and so that's a beautiful thing. And then getting into this blood fever. Blood fever is where Mace can see, I can slip into the dark side with this because I can actually enjoy fighting, but not just fighting in a civilized manner, not fighting a gentleman's war, not defending even, because Jedi are defenders. It's brought up that they are keepers of the peace. They do not assert themselves. They do not attack. That's the Jedi code. Uh, mm, you know, as uh, I lost my train of thought again, but yeah, it's part of the Jedi code. But he likes it. He likes to kick butt, and the jungle is affecting him psychologically. Now, his mission still, his objective is to find his old Padawan, Depa, get her out of there, bring her to justice, bring her to trial if that's necessary, if she is indeed guilty of these alleged atrocities. But then he sees, well, wait a second. He only sees two people with absolute extreme prejudice fighting each other for really no good reason besides absolute hate. It is jungle survival, of course, but it is absolute hate as well. And he's trying to navigate, okay, do we just help kill all the Balawai, the families, everyone? Well, no, not concerning a Jedi. The Jedi want to protect really who these Balawai. It really comes down to children. These Balawai children, that they're just children. For most of the children, they're completely defenseless. Like the crimes against them is really because of the cause of the fighting that their parents do. That the parents have. And so Mace is trying to navigate, like, okay, we got to protect these Balawai children. And like the Core and I are like, oh, what? Just Carvaster, this guy, this brute force of a man of the jungle. He initially sends these children to what is jungle justice. Now I won't again get into the spoilers, but that's the conundrum. Like, why are we sending these children out for the jungle to feed on them just because they're enemies? So that's the moral conundrum. That's the setting. And of course, Mace navigates that, and as a Jedi should, saying, no, it's not going to be so easy. And I like this because in the terms of warfare, at least in a fictional sense, he's navigating options. Whereas the Koronai fighting the Balawai and vice versa, they don't want options. They just want total annihilation of the other side, no matter the cost. And now he's realizing this is more than just bringing his Padawan out. This is hoping she hasn't succumbed to the dark side, and also preserving the shred of humanity as much as he can. One thing I want to mention about the setting, and I might stop to talk to the chat before getting into the antagonist that is Carvaster. One thing I loved about the setting was at every turn, ever since he gets on the planet, Mace Windu is mocked, he's condemned, he's ridiculed for his Jedi standards. The standards of a code of honor. And a standard, like, he has standards, he has rules, rules of justice. And people say, hey, those rules don't apply here. You survive, and you got to stick with us, or you're not going to survive on your own in the jungle. And as they're moving through trying to find his Padawan, they're always moving. And I kind of took that to heart. Like, they're always moving. They're always going with the flow of this powerful, force-sensitive jungle. And they don't stop. Mace wants to stop a few times, sometimes to bury the dead, whether it's Koronai or Balawai. And they're like, are you kidding? Like, they taunt him, saying, no, we gotta go. This place is dangerous. We've got aerial, gunships, coming down on us, bearing down on us. We can't bury the dead. Don't forget, forget about it. Like and because some people are like hung grotesquely, some people are just totally, they're maimed on lying on the ground. And Mace thinks, no, we need to honor the dead. We need to bury the dead. And I like that idea because he wants to stop and, you know, assess the surroundings where they always just want to move to survive. It's all about going with the flow. Like the jungle is not good or bad. It is what it is. You just need to keep moving for your survival. And I think that's a really good commentary on today, like social commentaries. Like you just got to go with the flow. You got to do what people tell you. You got to do what the higher ups tell you. You got to do what people who control the situation tell you. And Mace, and I think it's good. Like no, let's stop and think for a moment and really try to find the humanity in the situation. So I think that's a really good thing. 1 second. All right. Excuse me. So that was the setting. That I mean, again, I'm doing my best not to give spoilers, but a very good setting, a very good dichotomy of what is civilized and what is the ruthless, animalistic character traits of the jungle, including the inhabitants as well. So that's that. Now, that's the second thing, and I sort of already said it, so it'd probably be pretty short, but Carvaster, who is pretty much the avatar of the dark energy that is the jungle. And he is 100% instinctive. He does things based on animal instinct and pride. Now, both he and Mace Windu, they are both alpha males. They're going to go at it, and the way it's done is pretty admirable and sacrificial on Mace Windu's part. That's all I'll say. But it's two alpha males, and one in particular who is very instinctual. He tries to dominate the situation. He sees himself as the big dog, and pride for him goes before logic. Now, Mace Windu can be proud and can actually adopt a a bad pride, a bad type of pride, but he, in different ways, he refrains. Why? Because he's a Jedi master. He's not falling into what everyone is telling him to do, what everyone is telling him to be or partake in. And he actually does not have pride against this other alpha male, even though by the way, Mace Windu, he has things going up against him, but he's in total command of situations. That's pretty admirable. But he also knows when to fight and also knows when he's going to lose. And he fights anyway. And there's this theme in the book, especially concerning Carvaster, his antagonist, but also just the whole book surrounding other characters. Like, what does victory mean? What does victory look like? And for most of the people and the characters on that world, Harun Call, it's, well, we got to slaughter the bad guys. We got to slaughter our enemies. Take no prisoners. That's what victory is, and that's what we see with the Jedi way. That's not the good route to take when it comes to victory. And we know Mace Windu, because of events of Revenge of the Sith, we know he survives the home planet. There's nothing wrong with that. But he starts seeing what is true victory. And true victory lies in not just a personal victory over a space station or a base or a city or an actual locational thing, but a victory, a personal victory, is that your mind and your psychology has not been broken because of warfare. We see that, unfortunately, that does happen to a character, and it's amazing that, like, and I kind of thought of it. I put it this way, and I'd actually like to put it in a piece of fiction, so I might probably gonna I guess you guys could take the idea, but I'll definitely put it in my own stories in some way or another. Is that you know you can't lose your humanity for the sake of humanity, if that makes sense. You can't fight an enemy to the death at your own personal expense. The breaking of the mind, the breaking of the will, the breaking of the psychology. That's not a victory. I mean, even if you won a war, that's not a victory. You losing yourself, losing your humanity for the sake of humanity is not a good idea. And so we see that theme, like what is real victory or what is kind of a false sense of victory, and what is losing and what is winning. And that those are some major themes, major questions in this book, uh, Shatterpoint. And so I thought it was really good. Next thing is, and I want to be really short when I say this, or brief when I say this, but it has to do with characters and relationships. And you have to maintain your fortitude. As a protagonist facing a war or a personal battle, whatever the case is, a physical battle or a personal battle, you have to maintain your fortitude no matter what. And what that meant for Mace, without spoiling too much, is suffering loss that might be worse than death. And I think that's a really important thing to take note and to take to heart as a person. Like when there are battles in front of you and you're facing, and you just have to just take hold and have this tenacity to stick with your convictions no matter what happens around you, meaning like things that are outside your control, things that people decide to do that you wouldn't want them to do just because they have the agency, or they do something beyond your knowledge, or what have you. And that has to do with relationships. um you have to maintain your convictions no matter if your office mates, your family relatives, whatever the case is, if they go against your principles and your convictions, even at their own personal cost. And that's a really tough battle to face. And that was, to put it in a nutshell, that's what Mace Windu ultimately faces in his uh, progression, his character arc. Now he actually does have a character arc. At first I thought like, oh no, he was dogged and he remained the same the whole time. Now he did, but he faced temptation with this blood fever, this joy to fight. And the force was working, well, not the force, but the dark side, the dark energy of the jungle was really exploiting that, like trying to make him change. And it was his personal fight not to change. He's like, no, I can't succumb to my desire to fight and beat someone. So it was really, just all in all, a very well structured book. So hopefully I did okay just teasing things and not spoiling things, if you guys want to listen, or listen to the book study, or read the book yourself. So yeah, at first I thought I wasn't going to get into the story. I'm like, I don't know. It is a lot of world building. There's a lot of connections and relationships, and as far as the war was concerned, there were relations I wasn't really grasping, which I guess is fine. I guess that means you read it again another time. So anyway, I all that to say is I do call Mace Windu an all-American war hero. So anyway, I'm really far from the mic, so hopefully I don't sound canned or a lot of reverb. I have my door open because it's warm. So all right, let's uh, get into the chat. Hopefully I said what I needed to say, and we'll probably talk more about that, or about other heroes in fiction, of course. All right, let's see what you guys are having to say. Samuel Proctor says, you've never been a huge fan of Mace Windu, even when you were little back then. I just thought he was just okay in the prequels. I have no doubt he's more noteworthy in the novel. Yeah, he has this, like, dogged alpha male personality that I think could put a lot of people off, but we didn't get a lot of development, with him, so it is his story, though. Just like I said with Darth Plagueis, that was the perfect story for Palpatine. That was the perfect setup for Palpatine. There could have been no other story for that. I think it's the same with Mace Windu, with Shatterpoint. It was the perfect setting, the perfect conflict, the perfect antagonist. The structure is a little interesting because it does go back and forth between third person perspective and his first person perspective with his journals. Um, I thought I was fine with his journals. At first, I didn't think. Again, that was one of the things. Like, I don't know if I can get into this structurally, but it did work. It did work. You say now that you think about it, Windu might just be the most wooden performance I've seen Samuel Jackson play. The scripts definitely didn't help him. I didn't honestly. I didn't mind his performance. But then again, like he was a featured character. He wasn't supposed to be a protagonist. Ace is in the house, dropping by to say, "Have a nice stream, Madam SC. Deep Rock Galactic tonight." Um, is that a group? I don't know what that is, but yeah, I mean, Star Wars. All right, continuing on. ABL is with us. Good to see you. Samuel Proctor also says Batman is stoic, but isn't wooden in his best portrayals. John Wayne plays stoic characters half the time, so it also has unique personalities to go with it. Yeah, stoic isn't bad. And actually, one thing I wanted to say about Mace, like that, the book was so well written because not only with his Padawan and his relationship to her, but also, of course, Carvaster, his antagonist, but also the featured character who really had an interesting development, and that was Nick Rostu, I think is his last name. Nick is his first name, and he kind of had this kind of carefree joy about the world, the war of the world. That's what I meant to say. This kind of carefree joy of warfare. He didn't really regard life, and then he was kind of like that comedic, like really try to antagonize Mace because Mace is a stoic, well-grounded character. He's in his 50s. He's a Jedi master. He's no nonsense. He's again different disposition from the grandfatherly Obi-Wan or Yoda, different disposition from kind of that civil air and mannerism of Obi-Wan. And Nick was a great, I would call it like a personality foil. He was there to just really in a way playfully butt heads with Mace. That you couldn't set Mace up with another stoic character. That like the kind of the buddy cop archetype where you have one person who is like strict by the book, strict with rules, and then you have another person who's carefree. And that was perfect for the relationship between um, Mace Windu and this young man Nick, who was pretty much a guerrilla fighter himself. This young corn man. Uh, let's see. Yeah, so sad. So sad. R.I.P. Dr. Janet Fraser. I know. We just saw that episode. No spoilers for that, but or for after that. We finished that and it was perfect for Memorial Day. That was a really good tribute to the American soldiers. It was so good. It was a really good couple of episodes and I loved I loved her character so much. I really did love her character. I'd be interested to know how who replaces her. And I trust the writers will be good about that. Agents of Shield was one of those shows that did that so well. Like you lose a character whether to death or to something else, and they're replaced by a new character. And it's the character's so different in personality, so different in physical appearance. And you think, oh, because you can't replace one character with a character that looks and talks like them or have the same personality. So, the writers of Agents of Shield did that really, really well. So I trust the writers of Stargate will also do that really well. Because when they put Jonas Quinn on the team, it was okay because he had his own personality, he had his own disposition, but he also was really likable and he was unique. He wasn't, for the time we didn't see Dr. Jackson, he wasn't another Dr. Jackson. Now he took on the role because he was very smart in the way of education, but he wasn't a Daniel Jackson copy. So that was good. That was good. All right. Samuel Meyer says, any Clone Wars books you'd recommend? I started reading Midstar 1, hadn't finished it yet. Actually, Professor Geek is the go-to for the EU stuff. He would give you recommendations for that too. Clone Wars books. Yeah, I haven't read enough. I think I've only read like 10 EU books, and a lot of them weren't part of the Clone Wars anthology. Samuel says, "Oh, the book has Mace's journal entries. That makes me think of the Kenobi book that did the same. That led to a lot of introspection of Obi-Wan, learning more about him as a character." Now, there is a difference though between that and the Kenobi. So Mace's journal entries were makes sense. He has to record these things for the Jedi archives. For telling him. Well, it says private journals of Mace Windu. He always starts with that, but it is meant to be put in the archives in case something happens to him, or obviously when he passes away as an older person, if that were to be the case. With Kenobi, and I get the structure of Kenobi. I do understand it. It wasn't my favorite, even though it was a really well-written book. But the Kenobi journals are the only times you get into his perspective. Like he's kind of in tune with the Force and he's more meditating. It's not even journal writing. It's his communion, really. I think it's his to me, it was his practicing communion with Obi-Wan, not Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, the Force ghost. And that's the only time you see his perspective. The rest of the perspectives involve the moisture farmer residents. What was that place called? I forgot. But characters like Annaline. I forgot most of the characters, to be honest. We were in their perspectives the whole time. Not Obi-Wan's. I got to cough a second. 1 second. Ah, whew. One part where Andres Hernandez says, it's funny is when Mace clarifies to Nick, I'm Master Windu, and I worked hard for that to earn that title. Okay, Mace, haha. Yeah, he's it's so funny. It's such a perfect character thing for Mace because everything goes against him. He's navigating through this jungle he really doesn't have a hold on. He can't really grasp it. Not for a long time of the book, even though he's navigating and kind of maneuvering around situations. And he has some knowledge of the Coronai, and he has some knowledge of like the Act Dogs, and the Grassers and all that. But even in like no man's land, he still has command of the situation. And that's beautiful because you can place a character against odds and still have them proactive and commanding of the situation. Now, maybe that's not for every character, but it had to be a character for someone like Mace Windu because he's a 50-year-old Jedi Master. This would be different if, like, this book was set in, like, when he's in his early 20s, or if he's coming of age. That would be different. But, no, he's long been a Jedi Master, since before the events of the book. So, anyway, Samuel says, "That foil you described makes me think of 2 characters I enjoyed in the Alamo movie. General" I don't know who these this sorry, I never saw the movie. And the other guy whose name escapes me, and I can't General Bowie? Is that how you pronounce it? I don't know. I'm bad with movie references. You guys know that, right? So anyway, yeah, that's actually pretty much everything I had to say about the book. So, um, just kind of recapping the whole scope of that book, in terms of structure and themes. Um, I think it's a perfect move to have a well-seasoned character. Like, if you have a protagonist who's, like, in their 50s or 60s, they've got some life experience. Well, a perfect thing to do is put them in a setting that is in direct conflict with their experience or their personality. That can mean, in the case of Mace Windu, alpha male against alpha male. Like, get it, like go hard on that. But then you have to have a distinction between the two. For instance, Mace Windu has complete control of his instincts as a Jedi Master. His antagonist, Carvaster, is also an alpha male who he succumbs to his animalistic instincts. Now, he's a huge threat. Like, they didn't just, like, it wasn't just some schoolyard bully situation, just in case you haven't read it. Like, this guy is terrifying. Like, I more than once I was scared for Mace Windu. Like, I was like, is he gonna come out of this situation? Like, I even knew he was, because he fights the Emperor, of course, in Revenge of the Sith, Revenge of the Sith. I should have a track name for that if it's not already out there. Anyway, we see his demise with Palpatine in the movies, so he comes out alive, but it's like, dang, like, what's gonna that's the beautiful thing about doing a prequel novel or a prequel setting. We're like, okay, I know this character survives, but how is he gonna get out? Like, obviously he's gonna change, but anyway, so the setting was perfect for Mace as a Jedi Master. The setting, that was his setting to be in. That was his conflict to be in. No other Jedi Master. Perfect. It wouldn't have worked with Shakti. So that was good. That's the beautiful thing, by the way, about the Star Wars EU, is you can have these different characters, and they can have completely different conflicts, but conflicts that are unique to them. Yoda would have a completely different situation, and all of that. So that was really good. So setting worked really well. The antagonist part of the setting worked really, really well. And the change in Mace Windu's perspective that had to take place because of the war. He still comes out. He doesn't come out broken or anything. He still comes out as a Jedi Master, but with new perspective, you know. You can't keep, even with someone who's in their 50s or 60s, you can't keep them the same through such events. And I thought the treatment in that book, Shatterpoint, did very, very well. All right. Well, I think that's all I have to say. So we might just wrap it up with that. But in any case, that was fun. Do I have anything else to say? Probably not with the book. I think I said what I wanted with the book. If you're writing fiction involving war has to change you, for better or for worse. When I mean you, I mean your character. So if it's a hero you're writing, the war has to change the character, for better or for worse. It could be a tragic ending, for your hero. Something like Padme's death, at the climax or the conclusion of the Clone Wars, broke Anakin, and he became, or the impending death of his wife, broke his psychology, and he couldn't handle it. Or getting through a war, like with what we see with Luke. Uh, anyway, yeah, I've been so just kind of going into the next week. I've been really just having fun composing and writing. That's been good. Just writing a lot of sci-fi and composing a lot of music. So nothing really in the queue in music, maybe except like a tutorial, a short tutorial, or maybe um, a sample of my music or something like that. So we'll see there. But I think I might end it there, unless you guys had anything else to say. If you guys feel obligated, because I know it's Memorial Day weekend, so we should probably wrap it up anyway. But yeah, that's what I have to say. And tell you guys, we'll see each other next Sunday. We'll see what's going on. But yeah, have a good rest of your May. Yeah, because I think next week is June, so we should have fun with that. Anyway, so thank you guys so much for watching and listening. And until I see you next, have a good Memorial Day and keep producing and preserving that good art that you love. Take care.